tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
We in this together. You are not alone.
The time by Sagicor is
7 p.m.
Yeah, we're here at Culture Works, the second staging.
Forward for the next staging of Skyline Levels Culture Works this Friday, 7 p.m.
The rebels them in town.
I'm here right now at Skyline with Culture Works.
More works, positive, hopeful. Skyline Levels, I hit man, season 2, Culture Works.
Every day we're going in circles.
Yeah, Culture Works.
Culture Works. It's like Culture Works started off a year, a great work for me.
Culture Work, yeah man, it's been a great journey.
Blessed love, we're at the Skyline Levels at Culture Works.
We're here again on a season 2, so I hope that you and your friend them come, right?
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
at a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Every dream conquered is another dream game. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music is a play, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it down. Shine your lights on.
CVM News at 7 Headlines Thursday. Brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure. Live easy.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, he's like Adolf Hitler. Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding blasts Donald Trump's actions in Venezuela. Here to help, CXC makes adjustments for Jamaican students affected by Melissa. Misleading, Falmouth Hospital denies claim patients and staff on one of its wards affected by recent rainfall. In the business report, Golden Crust expands with the power of the patty. While in sports, Manning Cup winners Excelsior High are Olivia Shield champions.
CVM News at 7 Headlines Thursday. Brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure. Live easy.
Should critical illness strike? Don't let worry fill your head. Say hello to happiness and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan. Secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness ahead of time while benefiting from our investment portfolio and so much more. Give yourself and your family the peace of mind you deserve with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan today and live secure, live easy.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Thursday, January 8, 2026. I'm Nika Lewis. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade has become one of the most critical portfolios at this time as Jamaica navigates an increasingly uncertain global environment. His comments come as the U.S.-Venezuela tensions continue to escalate. Akeem Aret reports.
While some Caribbean leaders are sounding off, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is striking a measured tone. The Prime Minister, who is the outgoing CARICOM chair, says Jamaica will not be pulled into the political fallout following the U.S. capture of Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro. Still, Holness admits the global landscape is anything but stable, describing a world unpredictable and uncharted global waters, shifting international dynamics. He says diplomacy will be key to safeguarding Jamaica's sovereignty and national interests.
We are living in changing times.
We apologize for the absence of audio in that insert. However, we'll have much more right after these. Welcome back to CVM News at 7. So Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade has become one of the most critical portfolios at this time as Jamaica navigates an increasingly uncertain global environment. Those comments come as the U.S.-Venezuela tensions continue to escalate. Akeem Aret has the details.
While some Caribbean leaders are sounding off, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is striking a measured tone. The Prime Minister, who is the outgoing CARICOM chair, says Jamaica will not be pulled into the political fallout following the U.S. capture of Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro. Still, Holness admits the global landscape is anything but stable, describing a world unpredictable and uncharted global waters, shifting international dynamics. He says diplomacy will be key to safeguarding Jamaica's sovereignty and national interests.
We are living in changing times, uncertain times, uncharted waters in many instances. And my job as the steward of your affairs and the servant of your wishes is to keep Jamaica safe.
Dr. Holness assured Jamaicans that his administration remains committed to keeping the country safe, stable and protected, noting that Jamaica has already taken a clear position on global matters affecting its future.
Jamaica has always been consistent, and we have always been the strong voice of reason for small developing countries globally, and continue to be. Many of the issues that are presently being discussed, if persons who comment on these issues would only do a very cursory research into the matter, they would see the positions that Jamaica has taken and continue to take.
He added that strong leadership, faith and national unity will continue to guide the country as it charts its course through challenging global conditions.
You know, Jamaica has already taken its position long before others would have sought to enunciate any current positions. So, we give God thanks for keeping Jamaica safe in turbulent geopolitical and geoeconomic times. We have navigated those waters very carefully, very skillfully, and we will bring the ship of the Jamaican state to the destination of prosperity.
The opposition People's National Party, who weighed in earlier this week, is calling for peace and respect for international law in the Caribbean. In a statement, the party cautioned against the use of force to change governments and urged CARICOM and Jamaica to uphold the region as a zone of peace.
Meanwhile, interim President Delcy Rodriguez is now leading the country, but since Monday, at least 14 journalists have been detained and one expelled. This comes as nearly 9 million Venezuelans remain in exile. Journalist Luis Carlos Diaz spoke with us on CVM TV's Lead Story about the wave of censorship and the divisions inside Venezuela over what happens next. Giovanni Hamilton reports.
Venezuela is once again in political turmoil under newly sworn-in interim President Delcy Rodriguez after U.S. forces captured Nicolas Maduro and brought him into the United States on criminal charges. According to Venezuelan journalist Luis Carlos Diaz, the style of governance remains the same, especially when it comes to freedom of the press. Since Monday, 14 journalists have been jailed, with one deported for being a foreign national, a sign of what observers describe as a tightening grip on media.
The government has a strong censorship against all the media in Venezuela. All the radio, all the TV stations are under censorship since decades ago, and we don't have newspaper. But yesterday, the Delcy Rodriguez regimes put in jail 14 journalists. 14 in one day. All these journalists was under interrogation in hiding place by the counterintelligence corps. They rob all the computers and the telephones, and even they download all the data for 14 journalists. One of them was expelled from the country because he was a foreigner.
The country remains deeply divided as some Venezuelans are celebrating the arrest of President Maduro, viewing it as the fall of an authoritarian system. But within the Chavismo movement, others believe Maduro was betrayed, claiming he was sold out to the Americans. Despite the change in leadership, Mr. Diaz believes very little has actually changed in daily life, saying the same power structures remain intact.
So you have some different views. One of them are clapping because Maduro is in jail, because he is a dictator, he is a narco-traffic dealer, and he is engaged in crimes against humanity. On the other hand, you have some people in the Chavismo movement thinking that they suffer a treason of their own Chavistas, because these type of things happen only because Delcy Rodriguez sold Maduro to the Americans.
All of this unfolds while an estimated 9 million Venezuelans now live in exile, watching from abroad and waiting to see whether true political transition will ever arrive. Reporting for CVM News, I am Giovanni Hamilton.
A crazy fellow like Adolf Hitler. That stark assessment this evening from former Prime Minister Bruce Golding to Donald Trump's intervention in Venezuela. In a special interview with CVM News, Mr. Golding cautioned that weakening international norms leave Caribbean nations vulnerable, and CARICOM leaders are powerless to stand up to the President of the United States, who is seeking to create a new world order. Amoy Harriet reports.
My own assessment of him is that this is a crazy fellow.
Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding, who didn't mince words in describing U.S. President Donald Trump.
I think that the world is facing the most perilous challenge since the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962.
U.S. forces carried out a dramatic military operation in Venezuela, capturing President Nicolas Maduro, bringing him to the U.S., where he's been arraigned on federal drug-related charges. President Trump has taken a very assertive stance, insisting the U.S. will continue involvement and influence in Venezuela's governance and resources. Now, the Caribbean community, CARICOM, is watching nervously, worried that the U.S.-Venezuela showdown, already in their backyards, could drift into their own islands. Most CARICOM leaders have largely stayed silent.
CARICOM leaders cannot do any more than they have done. They have taken note. They have expressed some concern. But they dare not go beyond that. My disappointment is that if they have to cower in fear, at least do so together.
Now, at Wednesday's National Day of Prayer in St. Catherine, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness alluded to the issue, but mostly in code. Mr. Golding says Dr. Holness was wise.
If I were in office, I perhaps would have delivered the same statement. Because he has almost 3 million people that he has to protect. And I'm in a position, as a former head of government, I'm in a position where I can say what I have said. The Prime Minister can't say that. No Prime Minister in CARICOM can say that. Because the retribution that would have been unleashed on them would have been instantaneous. The only retribution that can be unleashed on me is to revoke my U.S. visa. And if that is the case, well, so be it.
Mr. Golding notes CARICOM's cautious stance is plausible given the economic fallout that could or already is striking the region. Economy aside, though, the former Prime Minister says even more frightening, it's not impossible for other Caribbean leaders to become a target like Maduro.
If Jamaica were to take a position that Trump finds offensive, all Trump needs to do is to say, well, look, all airline tickets to Jamaica will now attract a $250 tax. You don't have to ponder what the impact that would be on our tourism sector and our tourism arrivals. Donald Trump sees no limits to his authority and his power. So if any CARICOM leader were to take a position that offends him at 3 o'clock in the morning, which is when he's most dangerous, he could order the U.S. military, just go and grab this one.
He's calling out what he describes as, quote, the muted international response to these clear violations of international law.
But I'm disappointed that countries like Germany and Italy and Spain and France seem to be as frightened as CARICOM leaders are.
He says what President Trump is doing amounts to recolonization.
We're not far away from the situation that existed in the 1930s when Adolf Hitler intimidated the world and made countries fearful of standing up to him.
Are you comparing Mr. Trump to Hitler?
In terms of their ambitions, yes. Both Hitler and Trump desired to exert control over the entire world. It's a different situation today, and hopefully after 2029, getting rid of Hitler required a war in which 80 million people were killed. Getting rid of Trump may not be that expensive.
More CVM News at 7 in just a moment.
This Christmas, choose life. As we recover from Hurricane Melissa's devastation, we're reminded that life is fragile. Pedestrians, stay alert. Drivers, slow down. Rest if you're tired, and never drink and drive. One careless decision can change a family forever. Let's have a safe and prayerful Christmas and a crash-free 2026.
You know, some days are harder than others, but we have to do our part. You like porridge? We're in this together.
Morning, nurse. Thank you for what you do every day.
Come in, nurse. Our bone of fear.
in this together.
This season is the time. Digital is gifting smile. Gift a smile. Gift a smile. Gift a smile. Digicel is gifting smiles this season. 64 lucky customers will win $250,000 cash, and the third school getting $50,000 in groceries. You can also win Samsung tablets, furniture vouchers, and so much more. Best part, you can keep your prize, or you give all our partners to someone who really needs a smile. This season isn't just about winning, it's about making sure everybody good. Cash Digital in your community, bringing gifts and good cheer to keep you smiling into the new year.
Thanks so much for staying with us. Repair work will continue at several schools in Western Jamaica for at least another couple months. That revelation from Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, who says while classes have resumed, many institutions are still operating under less than ideal conditions. As you'll hear in this report, the minister insists steps are being taken to level the playing field for PEP and CSEC students, with curriculum adjustments now underway.
There are just a few months to go before primary and secondary students sit their PEP and CSEC exams. But with many students still not back in school since Melissa, it's anyone's guess whether some of these children will be ready in time. In an interview with CVM News, Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon revealed that several changes to the PEP and CXC curriculum are now on the table, all aimed at one goal, making sure no child is left behind. As it relates to PEP,
we've been working with the principals to figure out what's the right approach for grade 4, 5, and 6 PEP, and the ministry is going to be sending out the full guidance in relation to PEP.
For CSEC, special accommodations will be given for school-based assessments, SBAs.
Because you can imagine when you're doing the SBAs, you're doing your projects and you're doing experiments, they're at school. School was damaged and destroyed. Home was damaged and destroyed. And so the SBAs are the area where we're giving the concessions, and we're working with CXC to make that happen. But everything we're doing it in collaboration with the teachers and with the schools, so that it's not the minister just making an arbitrary decision, but that they have input into it.
But even as those exam tweaks take shape, not every school has reopened its doors just yet. The most badly affected regions were Region 6, 4, and 5. In Region 3, 74% of schools are operating normally. Similarly, in Region 4, 74% of schools are operating normally. In Region 5, 75%.
But for the others who are not, it means that we're using other modalities. So it doesn't mean they're not open, but these are the ones that are open fully. Yesterday I was in Westmoreland, and of our schools in Westmoreland, it was only 3 that were not open as at yesterday. And those 3, we're working to get them open for Monday. In St. Elizabeth, it was a similar number in terms of those that weren't open yet. We've also had a policy decision in the ministry that all children who are exam grade, so if you're in grade 6 for PEP or grade 5, those who are doing PEP, and those who are doing CSEC, all those children must be at school 5 days a week.
But the minister says the government is unable to repair every institution by mid-January.
So what we want to do is to make sure everybody is in school. Some children, they're only going to be at school for 2 or 3 days a week. Some students are going to be there in the morning, and then others will be there in the evening. So we're using different modalities.
The education minister also has this appeal to parents.
By next week, your children should be in school. Reach out to the school. One of the things that's been disappointing for me is going to some of the schools that have just been reopened, and we don't see 100% of the children.
Amoy Harriet, CVM News.
And we now turn to our reporter Kevin Black for the latest on the special accommodations the Caribbean Examinations Council has in store for students affected by Hurricane Melissa. Kevin?
Thanks, Nika. As preparations continue for the upcoming CSEC and CAPE examinations, the Caribbean Examinations Council has formally approved its disaster and business recovery protocol. The move comes as thousands of students continue to recover from the impact of Hurricane Melissa, which disrupted several classes in several parishes. The Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, has taken steps to strengthen its readiness in the face of natural and man-made disruptions. The CXC Board of Governors has formally approved the Council's long-established disaster and business recovery protocol, a framework that guides how examinations are managed when member states are impacted by events such as hurricanes, floods, or other major disruptions. The decision comes as thousands of Jamaican students continue to feel the effects of Hurricane Melissa, which caused widespread damage and disrupted school operations across several parishes last October. Details of the protocol's approval were outlined on Wednesday by CXC Registrar and Chief Executive Officer Dr. Wayne Wesley during a media conference in Kingston.
1. CXC initiates response and a statement of support for the affected participating state. Secondly, CXC then coordinates with the Ministries of Education in the assessment and recovery efforts. Third, the Council engages in wider stakeholder consultations that include parents, teachers, employers, and other crucial stakeholders.
Director of Operations in Examination Services CXC, Dr. Nicole Manning outlines, under the approved measures, 7 parishes, Manchester, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Hanover, Trelawney, St. James and St. Anne, identified as the most severely affected, will benefit from added flexibility.
The protocol works for the entire region. We have used it for other instances, for example, with the Le Soufrière volcanic eruption in St. Vincent, just to note. So it is important at all times that CXC understands and knows the duty of care for our candidates. And so we had to initiate that response, and the government responded accordingly. The Caribbean Examination Council has decided to provide a twofold approach, and the administration will be done in 2 ways. One, you have 7 parishes. Jamaica has 7 parishes that had the greatest, or let me say greater devastation if I compare the country in 2 at this point in time.
CXC has also extended deadlines for school-based assessments, allowing students who lost coursework due to the hurricane to resubmit without having to start from scratch.
For the school-based assessment, let us start there, because candidates doing the school-based assessment, especially those with the devastation, may have lost their school-based assessments. And as such, we are giving them that opportunity to redo those school-based assessments, but with certain concessions. So we have created a document which we shared with the Ministry of Education for use in the schools. Our local registrar will also manage that.
Kevin Black reporting for CVM News.
We take a break. Stay with us.
This Christmas, choose life. As we recover from Hurricane Melissa's devastation, we're reminded that life is fragile. Pedestrians, stay alert. Drivers, slow down. Rest if you're tired, and never drink and drive. One careless decision can change a family forever. Let's have a safe and prayerful Christmas and a crash-free 2026.
Chicken, mega deal, super chicken, mega deal.
The KFC value menu has you thinking chicken. Get the chicken box combo for just $680. KFC.
This season is the time Digicel is gifting smiles this season. 64 lucky customers will win $250,000 cash, and the third two getting $50,000 in groceries. You can also win Samsung tablets, furniture vouchers, and so much more. Gift this far, you can keep your prize, or we gift all our part of it to someone who really needs a smile. This season isn't just about winning, it's about making sure everybody good. Cash Digicel in your community, bringing gifts and good cheer to keep you smiling into the new year.
The KFC value menu has you thinking chicken. Get the chicken box combo for just $680. KFC.
The Time by KFC is...
Thanks so much for staying with us, and we continue the news. Under Jamaica's Sexual Offences Act, consensual sexual activity involving minors remains a deeply contentious issue, one that has sparked renewed calls for reform. Advocacy groups argue that while the law is meant to protect children, it may also be criminalizing them. This week on Query This, Akeem Aret examines where the law draws or fails to draw the line between protection and punishment. Here's Query This.
Jamaica's Sexual Offences Act was created to protect children from abuse and exploitation. But some critics say that when it comes to consensual sexual activity between minors, the law doesn't allow much room for common sense or context. Under the current law, any sexual activity involving someone under 16 is considered illegal, no matter whether both people agreed or how close in age they are. As a result, there are cases where both parties, of teenagers just a few years apart, end up being pulled into the criminal justice system. Attorney at law Jade Williams further explains.
So under our Sexual Offences Act, we have no exceptions for consensual relations between minors. We have an offence called sex with a person under the age of 16. Once it is that you have sex with a person under the age of 16, even if you yourself are under the age of 16, you fall within the of that offense. So we don't treat specifically with cases where there might be, teenage sexual exploration or try to address things through the legislation. The legislation simply criminalizes all sexual activity with a person that is below the age of 16.
Advocacy group Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, is proposing what is known as a close in age exemption, an amendment that would prevent minors who are close in age from being treated as sexual offenders for consensual acts. According to Williams, such a change would represent a fundamental shift in how sexual offenses involving minors are defined under Jamaican law.
They are able to receive those early psychosocial interventions rather than having to go through the additional stress of going through court and being arrested and charged and all of that and all of what that can bring. Because I think we don't really consider that, we're trying to rehabilitate this child who really committed a crime in the most technical sense of the word. And so if we want to be able to get that child in a rehabilitative position, putting them through this initial stressful process, we think unnecessarily, is not the way our statute should deal with it.
She further argues that a close-in-age exemption would offer greater protection to children rather than exposing them to unnecessary harm.
To have a close-in-age exemption would be more protective. What we have now is just the offense with no exceptions unless you were a person up to the age of 3 and you genuinely thought that this person was over the age of 16. So it doesn't allow for where you had that knowledge that they were under the age of 16 and you're also under the age of 16 for you not to come in conflict with the law. Right? So what the close-in-age exemption would do is to take those children who are boyfriend and girlfriend, who have had consensual, to their minds, consensual sexual relations, and take them out of that formal judicial process and allow them to go directly into those psychosocial processes.
Williams also warns that the long-term consequences of criminal charges can be devastating for young people. She notes that once a child enters the criminal justice system, the impact can extend far beyond the courtroom, affecting mental health, education, and future opportunities.
When it is that these children come before the court, they're missing school, they're on this bail, and then once they go through the diversion, the stigma of having been before the court does not immediately leave. You know, your community, your peers are aware that you were arrested and that you were charged for this. And all of this for something that we acknowledge is a part of adolescent development.
As the debate continues, questions remain about whether the law in its current form truly serves the best interests of children or whether reform is due. Remember, if you have a legal dilemma or concern you would like to query, send an email to aorit@cvmtv.com. I am Akeem Orit. See you next week on Query This.
We now turn to regional and international news.
Welcome to regional and international news. I'm Akeem Orit. We begin with the news in the region. Former Prime Minister and opposition leader of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, is warning that the unfolding U.S.-Venezuela standoff could trigger far-reaching consequences for the Caribbean and the global balance of power. DBS TV reports.
Shifting from the global to the gravely local, Dr. Gonsalves warned that if the U.S. attempts to install a new government in Venezuela, it would unleash chaos directly impacting the Caribbean. He predicted pitched battles, a flood of refugees, and a security crisis that could easily spill across borders. To avoid this, he urgently called for CARICOM to use its relationships to facilitate immediate dialogue between all parties.
It's one thing to remove the president, it's another thing to install an entirely different government. And that is when you're going to have mayhem in this Caribbean.
In international news, tensions between Washington and Bogota appear to be easing after U.S. President Donald Trump announced plans to host Colombian President Gustavo Petro at the White House following a high-stakes phone call between the two leaders. Al Jazeera has the details.
Very critical of U.S. policy in this part of the world. He's been very critical of the U.S. attacks on vessels allegedly carrying drugs in the Caribbean and also the capture of President Nicolás Maduro. People here are carrying flags and banners. You can see one right there that says that the United States is the biggest threat.
If we don't speak, there is war. Colombia's history has taught us that. And what happened is that we talked and re-established communication for the first time. Talked about Venezuela and drug trafficking. I gave him our numbers of what we are doing to fight drugs.
Protests have erupted in Minneapolis, USA, after the death of Renee Nicole Good. She was shot dead by a federal immigration agent on Wednesday. Federal officials said she made an attempt to run over immigration agents with her car, but the city mayor said the agent who shot her acted recklessly. More from Al Jazeera.
To be honest, I feel like people are pretty disappointed in what happened. Anger, sadness, and probably confusion because, they came here for one reason, and after the first day this happened, no one knows what's going to happen next. We wanted to give out to our community because they're supporting us, immigrants who came here for a better life, and now that's just getting taken away from them. We wanted to let them know that our community is an amazing community, that we're always going to be here for them.
And that's it for regional and international news. I'm Akeem Orit.